Manga and anime have been rapidly growing in popularity over the past couple of years, and when legendary artists start to voice their worries for the future of the industries they love, when they start talking about restrictions their work may face and how it could ruin an industry, I think it's important to talk about. But another very well-known mangaka has expressed his concerns over restrictions, just like several others have over the past few years. I want to start off with the Sankaku Complex article, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting via memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So Yoshinobu Yamada laments growing restrictions on manga. I talked about this type of situation happening several times over the past few years, but it says that Yoshinobu Yamada, the creator of Eden no Ori and Deathtopia, has expressed concerns regarding his working environment as he claimed that restrictions on what is allowed in manga are growing tighter, the individual then promptly deleting the tweet not long after. Now, this is a very unfortunate situation to hear about, not only that he's got worries about restrictions, but he also decided to delete his tweet not long after he made the statement, probably because there were people telling him, oh, you're overreacting. Maybe some of the companies that he's working for currently were like, you can't just make statements like that. You're gonna get people worried. People aren't gonna buy our products. You're gonna have people like looking over our shoulders, basically seeing, are you guys self-censoring anything? Are you changing any content? What is going on at this company? So there's probably a bunch of different reasons why he ended up deleting it. So the translated tweet said, eroticism is no more. The restrictions are getting stricter and stricter, and even past scenes have to be modified. I know I should be more elegant in my erotic expression, but I can't do that myself. A follow-up tweet said, I hate it when my thoughts break down. I was hoping it would be a little better after the Olympics, but I was naive. Thank you for purchasing. So he's basically saying that right now the state of the industry isn't that amazing. A lot of past scenes are having to be modified, future work is being scrutinized, and restrictions are getting stricter and stricter. It says the fact that the mangaka had to delete the tweet discussing the regulations might perhaps further verify its truth, and should this increase in censorship indeed be true, it will be deemed as horrible by many, as the Japanese manga industry is known for appreciating the sexiness of the female form whilst not holding back when it comes to things that may offend people, unlike in the West. Now, I have discussed this topic in general a couple of times, but we know this all boils down to political correctness and companies wanting to meet global standards. They know that there are sensitive Sallys around the world, particularly in the West, that get offended over specific content, so they're trying to dumb down content so that more people will hopefully buy their products. I do think that it would be good to see artists and writers come forward and stand firm on their opinions, saying things like, we will not censor our work for your global standards, but we know they're probably afraid to be cast out of the industry. We've seen this tale happen quite a few times now. It says what might potentially be an even worse turn of events is the surfacing of a new promotion of gender equality plan, where, according to Love Hina mangaka Ken Akamatsu, might end up leading to heavy censorship. Now, Ken Akamatsu is actually someone who I've talked about a couple of times because he's been very vocal on his stance regarding political correctness and censorship in things like manga. So I am going to read a portion of this article, but it basically talks about the increasing pressure to introduce political correctness into manga. This is only from a couple of months ago. It says, mangaka Ken Akamatsu, perhaps best known as the mangaka behind the extremely popular Love Hina series, recently shared his concerns regarding the rising pressure from Western markets to introduce political correctness into manga and the possible negative effects such as a push could have for creators and fans across the medium. It says, according to a machine translation of the panel that he was part of, when asked for his thoughts on manga in the overseas market, he laughed and responded, "In short, it's politically correct. Political correctness, external pressure is coming, such as the pressure to introduce political correctness into manga and movies. That's dangerous, isn't it?" He then explains, so far when Japanese manga is at this stage of looking at the world, there's a pressure on the scene to meet more global standards, and I talk about global standards all the time. It just means toning things down for audiences that are sensitive and don't like specific content. I'd like to have the manga artists unify their opinions to some extent as to whether such things are correct or not, he continued. However, when the sales of works that have become globalized and have no sharp edges are good, they end up saying, oh, political correctness might be good. And I also wanted to reference another article from last year which talks about Ken Akamatsu's statements on freedom of expression, manga, and political correctness. He is someone that is very vocal with his stances, which I really appreciate. It says the wisdom of Ken Akamatsu was sought by Japan's House of Counselors in regards to how they can help the manga industry flourish. When revered mangaka believing freedom of expression to be vital, whilst wishing to avoid regulation from foreign platforms. He ended up saying, I was invited this month to a House of Counselors witness questioning, where a member had asked me for Japanese manga to survive in the world, what sort of policy would be necessary, and he expressed, first of all and undeniably, freedom of expression. Compared from other countries, Japan's freedom of creativity is forte, however, unfortunately, it might not be that way anymore. I want to avoid a situation where Japanese works are regulated by foreign standards. If political correctness was pushed into manga, I definitely think that the industry would take a huge hit because people like me would stop supporting a lot of the content released. Just like we all stopped supporting the comic industry when the push for political correctness started there. I don't want any of this to happen. None of us want this to be pushed into our entertainment, but unfortunately there could be companies and artists who cave in and change their work, and there are a lot of people that are worried about that happening at this point in time. The article also says the mangaka also proposed the raw manuscripts should be stored, put on display, and monetized through a national manga center, additionally protecting them from being leaked overseas should these ideas be implemented, and Akamatsu asserted that Japanese manga would be solid for at least the next decade. I also really like this idea. There wasn't a lot of information regarding that. We haven't really heard anything else about this situation until now, until of course this promotion for gender equality plans come out and Ken Akamatsu had retweeted it, but it says, should such a plan come to fruition, feminist incidents such as the Yukazi-chan blood donation poster and Love Live poster would become more common and likely lead to censorship over the most inane reasons. And of course, as you all know, the less censorship the better, but unfortunately this whole situation doesn't sound very positive right now. It definitely sounds like there are a lot of people that are worried about more censorship being forced into the industry, and a lot of companies are starting to kind of lean in that direction of worrying about global standards and worrying about, what type of content are we releasing, what's releasing under our names and our brands. Should we be worried? Should we be censoring them and forcing them to change their content? Now, obviously, I hope none of this comes to pass. I hope we do not see more censorship in manga and in entertainment in general. I do not support censorship, and most projects that are censored, I stay the hell away from. I don't want to support projects that are censored, artists that aren't allowed to create what they want to create and release products they know people are gonna like. I've covered a lot of artists talking about how they're worried for the future of manga, and while I'd love to see this sort of talk disappear and there be no restrictions on content, more and more artists have come forward with worries, and that doesn't give me as a consumer a lot of confidence. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on this situation. I obviously hope all this talk magically disappears and these artists can just continue creating what they want to create, but I guess only time will tell. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.